a busy executive and focused on growing your career. You're working hard now because you want to build more than just wealth. You want options, the freedom to choose what's next, to shift how you spend your time, and to focus on your priorities. So let's talk about how you get there. Hi, I'm Emily Harper with Monument Wealth Management, and here's a few ways that we turn financial success into real-life flexibility. As a high-income earner, you're probably saving in a 401k, and you might think that you're doing enough. But the real question is, are you allocating your income to the right places? You may be maxing out your 401k, and that's definitely a good baseline. But it gets more complicated, especially with stock-based compensation like options and RSUs. So allocating income with intention, it really comes from a starting place of understanding your short and long-term priorities. Longer-term priorities might be things like saving for retirement or something that's 10 plus years down the road. But you're balancing that with shorter term priorities, things in the here and now, maybe providing education for your children, buying a second home for vacations. The challenge as an executive is how to navigate allocating your income and your dollars between these various priorities so that you are setting yourself up for long-term success, but you're creating flexibility in building up assets that allow you to really meet both of these short and long-term priorities on your terms. So a common scenario that we see for someone who might want to scale back in their 50s after a career of really hard work, if they haven't taken the time to really think about how to allocate their income to meeting that particular goal, they may have some difficulty in being able to use their wealth and the assets that they've built to supplement their income if they wanted to step back or scale back in their 50s. If you were putting everything into these tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and other deferred compensation plans available to executives, you just might not have the flexibility in really tapping into your wealth for that purpose. And they certainly may not have as much flexibility when it comes to minimizing taxes when it comes time to start withdrawing their funds. We have a thoroughness bias when it comes to really mapping out the cash flows to make sure that we are allocating income with intention. We're looking at things like current and future income, liquidity that you may receive from your stock-based compensation. We're looking at your current spending and future spending that's needed for your goals and priorities. We also look at how taxes impact all of that. So we're really trying to see what you have and what's needed so that we can make informed, data-driven decisions about how to allocate every dollar of income aligning with your priorities. So my second point, defining enough. What do you actually need? A lot of times with highly compensated executives, you're pushing to increase your compensation, your income, and that's a marker of success for you. And we absolutely support making the most of the value that you bring to the table, but we want to push back on the idea of more as a goal. If more is the goal, we're going to push back on you to get a little bit more specific about what it is that will bring you happiness, quality of life, and overall well-being. So we like to start with a very simple question, which is, what's the money for? Whether you've defined your goals or not, this question can help you clearly articulate and think through your wealth's potential. So knowing what the money's for allows us to model scenarios and understand what's needed to actually get to where you want to go. And these aren't generic cookie cutter, if you want to retire by 65, do this. These are very customized models driven by your unique cash flows. And they're really there to help you define what's enough. Maybe you're happy to grind it out and work hard to maximize your income over the next few years, but maybe you want to slow your pace or shift to something that's just less lucrative. Knowing what you actually need to save can help you sleep a lot better at night than just living under the assumption that you have to keep working as long as you can, as hard as you can to live the life that you want. My third point is how to shift from growing and saving to using and enjoying your wealth. One of the biggest fears we see with executives who want to spend more time focusing on their priorities is how to actually spend this wealth that they've worked so hard to build and accumulate. It's a huge mental shift to go from having enough income coming in to where you don't need to tap into savings to then shifting towards using those savings to supplement your income and sustain your lifestyle. But if you've done the hard work of saving and investing during your high income earning years, you should be excited about the opportunity to let that wealth work for you. So here are a few keys to help you find success. The first, be honest with yourself about your spending. A lot of people think in retirement or in this different phase in life, they might be spending less than they did when they were working and earning. And in reality, we've actually seen the opposite, at least in those early years of that shift. You do have more time to pursue your interests and your priorities. And a lot of people assign some money to that and end up spending more than they did when they were working. And that's okay, it just needs to be planned for. It can be overwhelming to look at a lifetime of work and know how best to tap into your accounts, especially for executives who have a lot of different kinds of accounts, whether that be their deferred compensation plans, their stock options, 401ks, just general investments that you've accumulated. And they're all taxed differently and they all have different timelines for use. So mapping out sources of fixed income like Social Security or pensions and when they kick in can help you map out how you're going to fill that gap from your investments to cover your spending needs. Typically, we see more reliance on non-tax deferred accounts in those early years of retirement or those early years of starting to use your investments. And people tend to let their 401ks and other tax-deferred investments continue to grow. But there's really no one-size-fits-all answer, and every situation is going to be unique depending on your specific mix of assets. We've seen clients agonize over the idea of not wanting to touch principal and just live off of the income that their investments generate. But this isn't always feasible depending on how an investment portfolio actually looks coming into retirement. And it may not be advisable, especially for those who don't have major inheritance or legacy goals for their wealth. Not spending down a portfolio enough can be just as much a problem as spending down too much. So your probability of success, which is essentially the likelihood that you can meet all of your spending goals and not outlive your assets, it can go a long way in giving you the confidence to enjoy all that your hard work has enabled. But as I mentioned, every financial situation is unique. If you're an executive and you found these 3 tips helpful on maximizing your wealth and unlocking financial optionality, but you still have questions, feel free to click the link below in the description to reach out to our team here at Monument Wealth Management. Smart decisions start with knowing your options. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips on making high-impact decisions across your financial life. Also, life moves fast, and your decisions should keep up. Subscribe to our newsletter for timely strategies that can help you make life option rich. With that, I'm Emily Harper, and we'll see you next time.